fellow comic book collectors. Today it's the price variance, and we actually have a really cool show planned for you today. We're going to look at two authors each, and authors that we like, and authors that maybe are maybe under the radar. I'm not sure what Mark's bringing, but I'm picking two that are a little bit under the radar, and ones that I think that are really great, just awesome, artists and writers, maybe both. Yeah, it's always fun to have Mark on the channel. So Mark, welcome to the channel. Let's get started with you first.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Good to be here as usual. Right, I am going to be talking about he's an author, but he does his own art, and in fact he self-publishes, and he is mainly known for one comic series, and it has been described as the best comic series you've probably never heard of. Okay.
Sounds like the one I brought. Uh-oh. No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I don't think it will be. Unlikely. Right, so I am talking about an author, artist, publisher called Gary Spencer Millage. I know Alan knows this guy because I've talked to Alan about this chap before. So this is the comic for which he is known, and it's called Strangehaven. Now, this is number one of Strangehaven. It was produced in 1995. And I actually went to the UK Comic Art Convention in 1995. And Gary had a booth there. And he had, at the time of that, he'd published two issues of Strangehaven, issue 1, which I've got here, and issue 2, which I've got here. And on both of these, at the UK Comic Art Convention, Gary signed them on the inside front cover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and self-publishing is, it's an expensive and highly risky thing to do. So, what's interesting here is that this comic that started in 1995 is literally just about to have its last installment published 26 years later.
So what issue is it? What issue number is it?
I'm going to explain that. So between 1995 and 2005, so 10 years, Gary published 18 issues of Strangehaven. So that is 1.8 issues a year. Wow. Yeah, exactly. And quite often there was a year's gap between each comic. And this was largely because, he was doing everything. He was writing, he was drawing it, he was publishing it. It was getting printed over in the States. So he had to organize all the artwork getting to the States, all the comics being distributed, the whole thing, and real life intervenes. He has illnesses, his computer breaks down. So one of the nice things about this is in each of the issues, he writes a little diary. So at the beginning of that, you can see it's got Strange Maven's Diary. That bit in black is Gary talking about what's happened to him between each of the issues.
So that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So, of course, these are all available now. You can go and get all 18 issues. You don't have to wait a year between each one. So not only do you get the Strangehaven story, which I'll talk about in a minute, but you also get 10 years of Gary's life across 18 issues, or the comic conventions he's been to, the people he's met, and he's met some cool people. So, he was nominated for 2 Eisner Awards for this, and he did meet Will Eisner.
Cool.
Before he died. So what is Strangehaven about? Okay, right. It's about a village in England called Strangehaven, but strange things go on in Strangehaven. It has been compared to Twin Peaks in that it's based in a sort of isolated village, and all the residents are a bit odd, and there's something a bit weird about them. The other thing about this village is the village won't let you leave if it doesn't want you to leave. So one of the main protagonists in here is a guy called Alex Hunter, who's on a trip down in Devon, and he crashes his car. He ends up in the village and he's unable to leave, and he becomes the local school teacher. But it's not just about a single character. It's actually about, there's a whole range of different characters. So for instance, there is a South American shaman who for some reason is living in the village. There is also a guy who claims he is an alien. And the guys have got great names. So, you know, the guy who claims he's an alien is called Adam Douglas, which is a reversal of Adams.
Douglas Adams, yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's some other, the policeman is called Kent Clark. You know, there's other nice,
yeah.
There's other nice things like that. But also, there's a secret society in the village, and they all dress up a bit like members of the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know how clear that is, but it's called the Knights of the Knights of the Flaming Sword, something like that. Knights of the Golden Light, and they're a bit strange. And anyway, it would appear that Strangehaven is the sort of, it's got a special magical power. All the ley lines meet there and stuff. So there's a whole range of interesting characters. You know, in issue 4, we even get a lingerie issue.
That's always good.
Yeah, and you can actually buy all these copies from Gary's. He's got a website, really good website called Millage.com. We'll put a link to it in here when I do the editing. And you can buy all but 2 of the 18 issues. And strangely, one of the issues that's sold out is this one, the lingerie issue.
Oh, yeah, of course. People like lingerie. Wow.
And what the other nice thing about this is you can see the progression in Gary's artwork over a 25-year period. Yeah,
of course.
You've got his work in 1995, and you gradually see it, to be honest, improving. It gets better and better.
Yeah, of course. I mean, 25 years you get better at.
Yeah. And his artwork now is stunning. You know, even here we've got to issue number 5 here, but you can see the sort of still life of the fruit and the veg in the background there. The guy,
it's quite nice.
The guy in the middle is the guy who's the shaman, the South African shaman, who can take control of animals' minds. So there's a great little episode where he goes flying as a falcon over the village. This is issue 6, and the guy in the middle there is the local doctor, and behind him there's the regalia of the Knights of the Golden Light. There's a nice episode where Alex Hunter, who's one of the protagonists, goes on a camping trip and he gets lost, and is lost in the wilderness for about 2 weeks. And that's that episode. Then we have a Christmas episode, which is number 8, which is really nice. So we've got a Christmas card on the front cover. There's lots of infidelity and people sleeping with other people. So the guy in bed with the woman there, that's not his wife. This guy on the cover here, this is the UFO one. So here we get a lot about UFOs. The guy in the picture there is the guy who says he's an alien.
Adams Douglas.
Correct. So this is a great issue here. There's a murder, and we have to work out who the murderer is. And eventually we get to issue. This is my favorite. This is one of my favorite issues. Unfortunately, you can see the artwork is getting substantially better here. The bees
Mhm.
look really good, and there's a man hanging from a tree at the top.
Wow.
This guy here is Kent Clark. He's the detective. He's the local policeman who's trying to work out who's killed, or there's actually a couple of murders. This one's quite good because it shows you, it's got pictures of a number of the different characters on the front. This old lady here with the hat is called Hilda, and she can talk to animals. So we get a few episodes where Hilda's talking to various animals. In fact, one of the animals saw who did the murder and tells her. Another one here, this is where the detective at the top there is trying to work out who done it. And there's drawings of all his various suspects down below. And then if you're going to buy one issue to try it out, this is the issue I'd buy because it's pretty much, it can stand alone. And this is, this starts off in World War II with part of the Battle of Britain. That's a Spitfire there. So there's a dog fight in here. So you can see set in, I think, 1942. Bombers over the village, dropping bombs.
The artwork looks good.
Yeah, the artwork's great at this stage. You know, we're 10 years, nearly 10 years in here. And interesting, so the pilot gets shot, his plane gets shot down, he crash lands just outside the village. And he goes into the village, but he's been shot down in 42. But when he gets to the village, it's present day.
Oh, wow.
These are the type of strange things that happen in Strangehaven. And the landlady, there's an old landlady called Mrs. Macready, who's Scottish. It turns out that the guy in the aeroplane was her husband, who she hasn't seen for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then suddenly when she meets him, she becomes young again, and they sort of meet up and get lovey-dovey.
Well, that's good. At least she becomes young again. That'd suck if she's still old.
Well, yes, except in the next issue, we discover she died. So after having met up with her husband again, you know, did that happen after death? Did it happen before death? We don't know. So this group here, they're the sort of antagonists of the Knights of the Golden Light. So these are sort of, these are all mystics and witches, and they provide a balance to the Knights of the Golden Light.
So is the story, is like one of the characters the village itself?
Yes.
Is there like one of that kind of situation where you're trying to figure out what is this place?
Yeah, but yes, the village is a character. It has its own presence. I mean, it never speaks to us, but you know, it's explained early on. You know, the village is very special. It's the, you know, it's the center on the earth. If you draw lines from various special, you know, monuments like Stonehenge and places like that, they all meet in
Strangehaven.
And actually, it's all about trying to maintain the balance in Strangehaven, making sure that no one group gets overall control, because then they'll get overall control over the whole planet. Anyway,
cool.
And then this is the last. So this is issue 18 that came out in 2005. Now, unfortunately, I think Gary ran out of money.
Yeah, it's expensive doing this. Yeah.
So so there are 3 trade paperbacks which do 6 of these at a time. So there are 3 trade paperbacks covering these 18 issues. And Gary's intention was for the story arc to be 4 trade paperbacks, so another 6 issues, but he never got to it. So you can imagine the fans of Strangehaven went sort of desperate, because, you know, we're 75% the way through. Anyway, there was then a gap of 9 years when nothing happened. So we're now in 2014, and a British anthology magazine called Meanwhile, which puts together the work from various British writers and artists, Gary agreed to work with them to do the final 25% of Strangehaven. And they were meant to be publishing every quarter. Yeah. So if that had been the case, then it would have taken 2 more years to get the final part of Strangehaven published. But unfortunately, meanwhile, has been as sporadic as Strangehaven was. So we're now just getting, meanwhile, number 10 is literally just being published. And I think it has got the final episode of Strangehaven in it. So after 26 years, we're finally getting to the end of this. So one of the questions you might ask me was, what else has Gary done? Yeah.
Sure.
Well, the answer is not very much. This is his main. This is his.
This is it.
He did do a story in the Bongo Comics Treehouse of Horror.
That's interesting. That's a little bit different.
He's written a well-respected autobiography of Alan Moore.
Okay.
As came out, and he's done one or two other things. He did some work on the Sherlock magazine. You know, Benedict Cumberbatch played Sherlock. And they produced a comic of that, and he did some of the artwork for that. But he hasn't really done, you know, much. This is really his, you know, crowning glory. And I'll you know, if more than 2 of your viewers have heard of this, I will be very surprised.
Yeah. Well, if they watched our previous video, you talked about it, so that's always good.
Did I talk about it, or did I talk about it to you after we finished?
I know you talked about it on one of our videos.
Did
you talked about Strangehaven. Yeah.
So there you go.
I picked it up after, actually. Like, I went to eBay and I picked up a copy because it was so cool. So yeah.
Okay, so that's my writer, Gary Spencer Millage.
Wow, really great. Just quickly, I have a couple follow-up questions because I think, you know, it's kind of cool. So one of the things that I'd be interested in is, like, what are the edition sizes? You know, when you're self-published, you're not producing like 1 million copies.
No,
you're producing maybe 1,000 or 2,000 copies. Like, what kind of edition sizes?
I don't know. And I have read a couple of interviews with Gary, and somebody did ask him that question, and he said, "I'm not telling you."
Is it that he's publishing on demand, which could be a little bit weird?
No. This was before Publish on Demand. So, you know, this is 1995. He would have to have done at least 2,000, I think.
I'm thinking 2,000, yeah. So that's a pretty small edition. And is he doing second prints and third prints?
So
and stuff like
in about early on, I think he talks in issue 5, he says that issues 1 and 2 have sold out, and he reprinted them. Yeah. So there are 2 printings of issue 1 and issue 2, but I think all the others, there's only 1 printing.
Wow. That's pretty cool. So definitely, and since you told me it was optioned as well.
Right. Yes, I forgot to mention that. So one of the reasons I came back onto this and I got all the other issues recently is that about 2 months ago, it was announced that IDW Entertainment had optioned Strangehaven for TV and film. I mean, and it would make, I mean, I could see it making a great television series. It's very episodic, you know, you've got the slightly weirdness about it. You've got all these great characters, you know, you've got the soap opera bit, you've got a bit of sex, you've got a bit, you know, so you can see it making a very good TV series.
Like, I haven't read it yet because my copy hasn't even arrived yet, but to me it sounds like In the Mouth of Madness,
right?
Plus Lost.
Yes. Okay. Lost is one of the other.
Do you see the? I was thinking that's what it sounds like. I don't know, having not read it, but
no, I mean,
that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, one of the other sort of reviews I've heard of it did compare it a bit to Lost. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. It has that very, kind of what's going on here kind of feel to it, right? So,
and it's, as I said, it's really interesting because you get the Strangehaven story, but you also get Gary's story in the diaries. And you also get the progression of the art, of an artist over 10 years and then 25 years. I mean, his art now that he's doing for Meanwhile, these are in black and white internally, as you can see, but in Meanwhile it's in color, and some of it's just glorious.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. Should we do one writer per? We should almost just do one per show, I think.
You think we should?
Because it's just like,
okay.
All right. Because it might be too long for.
How long have we been going? Yeah, we've been going. Can't see, but that took 20 minutes, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So
why don't you do your first author on my show?
Yep.
And then we'll do next time round. We'll do our second one.
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm gonna do like. How about you introduce? We'll say, hey, thanks for watching. This is part one. Part two will be on Mark's channel. And I'm going to go into my artist that almost meets the same description. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the same artist, same writer. So I'm going to do mine on his channel. So you got to watch that. And mine's just as cool as his. So we'll get into it then.